I am so pleased to be sitting here with Barbara, a highly accomplished CMO, said by Adweek a brand genius, and was named or recognized by Advertising Women of New York's Changing the Game Awards for her performance as a CMO. Not only has Barbara accomplished all that, but in our recent CMO growth competition that we had here, which we'll be announcing the top 20 tomorrow, Barbara was nominated as a top growth CMO. And when we were reading the submissions for nominations, there was a quote that was provided from one of Barbara's peers that I'd like to read to you, kind of demonstrate what Barbara's accomplished in her career and how she's impacted her peers and colleagues. Excuse me. Through Barbara's leadership, TripAdvisor has doubled their membership numbers in 2 years. She ensures that TripAdvisor cultivates a relationship with our community through our CRM email marketing program. We get scale as a company by members providing content, and in the last year, we've gone from 150 million reviews and opinions to more than 200 million. And email is the channel that helps encourage that content creation. Through her leadership in various email programs, TripAdvisor has increased our rate of content collection by 400%. In addition, Barbara has built a badging program to turn creating content into game collecting badges of honor and turning top contributors into brand ambassadors. These are just a few of the amazing programs that Barbara has launched or led during the last few years as CMO. Wow, that's pretty impressive.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I'm so thrilled to be sitting with you here on stage. You have 340 million unique visitors every month at TripAdvisor. How do you manage to provide a personalized experience to them?
So, is my mic fine? Can everyone hear me? Yeah. So, TripAdvisor, I hope many of you are our consumers. How many of you are planning trips on TripAdvisor right now? Thank you, a whole bunch of you. And hopefully some of you are also booking your trips on TripAdvisor right now, because we this year have gone from not just being a site where you can plan trips, but you actually can plan and book trips. So it's been a very exciting brand evolution for us. In terms of personalization, with 340 million unique people from all over the world, so we are in 46 points of sale, but we actually get traffic from all over the world, and 70% of our traffic is from outside the United States. So it's a very diverse community. And the question is, with so much content and so many different types of trips, how do you provide a personalized experience? Mm-hmm. So the first channel is obviously on the site. And so on the site, what we do is we have some new features that we've launched. One of them that we actually launched last December is called Just For You, and it's a way to give personalized recommendations based on folks' browsing behavior, based on their review behavior, and based on what people similar to them also like. And so that tool has actually been a way for people to sort their results and actually get the right hotel for them or the right restaurant for them. So for example, if you are a person that likes 4 stars with a pool and you travel with your kids, we can actually get that subset of properties in Paris that's going to be right for you. So the site, we obviously do a lot on the site to make the experience more personal. Then we have our email programs. We email about 80 million people every week. And we do that obviously in 23 languages. So getting that right mix of the right message to the right person is quite complicated, but we have an amazing team, and we also have great technology that helps us do this. So we actually try to make the email reflect, if we know something about you, your most recent behavior. So if you are shopping for a trip, we'll send trip ideas for you. We'll send you recent reviews on things you've looked at. We'll send you pricing and the most compelling rates for you if we know you're in shopping mode. And so we have a series of highly personalized emails that you're going to receive if you're in shopping mode. And if you're not in shopping mode, then we're going to send you inspirational content, but that's geared towards where you're from and the interests that you've already identified with us. And then lastly, for people who are really our most active participants, who are in our reviewing and content collection group, who are the people that really are the people that are the lifeblood of our community, our reviewers, we have a highly personalized stream for them around that whole gamification piece that we talked about in your introduction.
Okay, wonderful. And speaking of that, you were talking about it's not just about understanding your target audience and what they can do for you, but what you can do for them. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah. So, TripAdvisor is a very data-centric company, mm-hmm. and we love to talk about our large numbers and our scale, but what we also learned is to actually listen to our consumers, and it foundationally, with marketers in this room, it's like those insights are the things that really can drive your business forward. And one of the insights we tapped into early on when I joined TripAdvisor was the reasons why people review. And people want to review because they want to give, they want to feel part of something bigger, and they want to thank somebody. It's either thanking the community that's helped them before, or thanking a hotelier for delivering a great experience, or telling a hotelier feedback it wasn't a great experience. But it was really that community of sort of giving to something larger, which is this notion of the community of TripAdvisor. And so once we understood that insight, then we developed a whole program around giving them something for contributing to us. And we actually found that the most effective things to give them were badging and rewards being all non-monetary, nothing necessarily physical. And so when someone had written 3 reviews, we gave them a reviewer badge. And when they'd written 5 reviews, they got a senior reviewer badge, and it goes from there. And then, maybe the badge is a little different color, or has some bling on it. And so we really learned that what people really cared about was getting recognized for doing something. We told them how many people had read their reviews, and they loved to receive those emails. We tell them when they get helpful votes, how many people gave them helpful votes. We give them a snapshot of where people in the world are reading their reviews and how that's influenced their behavior. And that has been the most compelling piece, because what we realized was people want to feel what they do matters, and they take a lot of time to write reviews, or they spend the time to give a helpful vote, and they want to feel like they're part of something bigger. And that has been sort of the key insight that has driven really the massive acceleration in our content collection, was that deep consumer understanding of connection.
Yeah, so when you were talking earlier, you were talking about the technology that enables you to connect in the right way. And we were chatting a little bit outside, and you were saying a lot of the technology is really in-house technology that you're developing. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so we were founded by an engineer, and we're very much a technology-driven organization. And when we talk about anything at TripAdvisor, it's all about making sure that it's scalable and making sure that we can test and learn our way into everything. And so, we have a team of engineers. I have my own engineers, and everything we do is built in-house, and everything we do is built for scale and for testing. And so, that's the foundation to everything we do. So whenever we launch something, we launch it in a slice. We see how it performs. We'll launch multiple versions of the same thing, including messaging, and we'll see what is the most interesting to consumers, what is their behavior on the site that day, how does that influence the repeat rate. And so we're constantly testing our way into both the site experience and an email. So it's really a key part of our DNA as a company. And so we believe, like, if you can't measure it, you can't improve it. So everything has to be tested and measured. And sometimes that's challenging, right? With marketing, sometimes it's hard to measure something like a new banner creative that's not clickable. Are we communicating something new, and are they really taking away that message? But one of our challenges is always figuring out how to do that. Even in TV, which is generally a very hard to measure channel, we have spent a lot of time with my data scientists and the measurement team to really come up with a construct where we feel really good about our ability to measure the impact in TV in all the markets we're in.
Okay. So you've touched on 2 really interesting points, and I don't want to eat up all our time because I'm sure a lot of people have a ton of questions. But it sounds like you and technology, marketing and technology, are completely integrated in your operation, and that's not we see that as a trend, and a lot of people trying to achieve that trend today, but it's certainly not there for a lot. What do you think would be things that you would share with other CMOs on how to be really successful in partnering with their technology counterparts?
Our engineers are looped in right from day one in terms of what we're working on, what the strategy is, what our goals are in terms of launching. So they understand, why we're doing things, which is really important for engineers to be connected to the company and understand the vision. And, just from a pure seating perspective, we sit with our engineers. They're not in a different building or on a different floor. We're all sort of intermingled. And even marketing and product and our creative team, our designers, they all sit together in pods on projects they're working on. So that really creates a synthesized organization, and people really understand that when they develop something, they're going to see the output of their work, in a week or in 2 weeks, and they are very bought into it. And then when we have successes, they are part of that success.
Okay, wonderful. And then the second one was metrics. A lot of people talk about these new metrics that are still foreign in the boardroom, and particularly about long-term customer health and sentiment value. And because your customers are so engaged, are there new metrics that, and you don't have to share them, but are there new metrics that you're now having to develop because of all of the engagement and the emotional factors that are at play in your model?
I would say that, we do look at the same metrics. I mean, we're looking at, rate of content contribution and percent of content contribution, and we're looking at, how people transact on the site. Are we increasing booking rates? Are we getting people to get to the right answer for what their travel question is? So I don't feel like we've created new metrics. I do think we just look at the metrics often. Okay. And we also try to, I think, one thing that we try to do is really think of how to move the needle in a dramatic way. So we try to get out of sort of optimization for the sake of optimization, and we look at metrics and we say, how can we make this 3x what it is today, not 10% more?
Yeah, excellent. Great. Well, you had mentioned also, too, this thing called the Holy Grail, people like me.
Yeah.
Talk about that a little bit.
So, when you have so much content coming into the site and so many reviews, probably people who have researched their trips on TripAdvisor know this, right? Sometimes you can get a lot of content, a lot of reviews and photos, and you're trying to sift through it. I mean, 32 million photos from travelers. It's like an insane amount of great content. But a lot of people say, I really want to know, how do I know that this person I'm reading the review from is like me? And how do I know that the fact they like this hotel is relevant to me? And so that is the Holy Grail for TripAdvisor. And just for you, the personalizations is step one of that. But we also are, of course, looking at a million other factors and being able to identify who that person is like you. One of the challenges in TripAdvisor is you might travel once for business and you have very different needs, or you might be on a family trip and you have different needs and a different spend pattern. So there is no one-size-fits-all with that TripAdvisor traveler, but we are making strides in figuring out how to give people the information so they can know if that traveler's like them. So one thing we do is we surface, when you see a reviewer, you can see where they're from, you can see their past reviews, you can see a histogram. Are they an easy grade or do they hate everything? I mean, these are all really important things to look at. And also, what type of traveler are they? Are they a world traveler, or do they only, visit friends and stay at, the local airport hotels? So, we try to give as much information as possible, but it is certainly a step that we're on that path to finding that really clear articulation of the people like me.
Yeah. So I'm going to ask you a little bit of a controversial question. She doesn't know it's coming, by the way.
Controversy.
But it's probably one that's really easy for you because your customers are very engaged and they willingly come to you and they willingly share a lot of information about themselves. How do you manage all of that personal information in a way that doesn't extend past that line, that whole creepy line that everybody talks about, and that you're constantly being able to deliver back just what they want?
Well, I have to, for my traffic acquisition team, I have to say that they don't all come to us willingly. There's a lot of people who work on doing creative and search engine marketing to make sure that people find TripAdvisor when they're, in travel planning mode.
Fair enough.
So certainly there's a lot of work that goes into getting people to TripAdvisor, as well as our loyalists, who I love the most, of course. But we, with our personalization, we actually are pretty explicit about why we're telling you what we're telling you. Like, we might say, we're picking out the Langham because you liked the Plaza in New York and you also researched these hotels. So we try to be pretty explicit about where we're getting information from. And I don't think we're close to the creepy line yet.
Yeah,
travel is it's personal, but we aren't sort of crossing lines in terms of sharing dates or sharing other specific information about your search or your behavior.
Great.
So we're still in a very safe zone.
Safe is good. So thank you. I think my last question for you, and then I would like to open it up to the audience, is you've been such a successful CMO and have accomplished so many great things in tackling marketing and technology both. As you look to your peer group and people that are striving to also develop those same capabilities, what would you offer as a point of advice to people who are developing?
I think I'm lucky that I'm in TripAdvisor, which is a very strong consumer brand, and we actually are in a passion category, which is travel. But I would just say any time you can have a chance to have a real conversation with your customers and hear what they're excited about and give them a chance to participate in your brand, any opportunity you have to do that, I think will help the brand's growth and connection with the consumers. So that would be my sort of more broad advice. And then obviously I think this group it's preaching to the choir, but we have a lot of assumptions in marketing, and I think testing hypotheses and testing multiple things simultaneously is really important. And sometimes you might really feel like you know in your heart, and then you actually see the results of the test, and you're like, oh, I was wrong. So really, trusting the data, going in to test with really smart things that you're proud of, but then being open to what will be.
Great, thank you. Anybody have any questions for Barbara? Yes.
My name is Scott Jones from Origami Logic. I actually have two questions. The first part is, what's the split between the national audience, the US-based people, and international? That's the first piece. And the second one is the same split between brand-oriented campaigns and direct response campaigns.
So 70% of our traffic comes from outside the United States. So we're a very global brand. And I would say 95% is performance-oriented marketing.
Great. Is anybody over here? Yeah?
Thanks. So I think one of the coolest things about TripAdvisor is seeing communication between hotel staff and patrons. It's really cool to see people give compliments to hotels, and then hotel staff thank the traveler. That's always really interesting. Do you guys provide analytics and information back to hotels about that experience? And I was wondering if you could just talk a little bit more about that, because
Sure.
I think that the back and forth between the hotel, which could be this like faceless business entity, but you guys have kind of humanized it, is a really cool part of your business.
Thank you. We obviously have two important segments, right? We have our consumers, the travel planners and bookers, and then we have our huge B2B community, which are all the hospitality businesses. And TripAdvisor has been an incredibly powerful force for the hospitality industry, and especially because, it really leveled the playing field. And so any hotel could be the #1 hotel based on service and value. And so, the #1 hotel in Greece is actually, a small 12-room hotel in Santorini, but they just, rocked it because they have awesome service and they have great rooms and they're great value. So we are very, very in touch with our hospitality businesses. And as part of how powerful TripAdvisor is for them, they also really monitor it, because every day they get reviews, or they want to hear what people are saying and have that conversation be monitored, and they want to respond to feedback, both positive and negative feedback. So we actually have a whole team that does all of that B2B communication called TripAdvisor for Business, and they send the hotels information and key metrics on every aspect of their listing on TripAdvisor. And so, they get new reviews, they get how they're comparing to what others in their market, they get opportunities to, put their phone number or website on the listing. So we do a lot of marketing with the hospitality businesses directly.
Great.
And information sharing. It's not just marketing, it's more sort of giving them data they need to run their businesses more effectively.
Thank you. Anyone else have any questions? Okay, so we have 2 more minutes. I'm going to ask you one more question.
Yeah.
Tell us about you. You're planning a trip, and you're looking at TripAdvisor. What's the coolest feature that you like about TripAdvisor?
I love our candid photos, because I think a picture is worth 1,000 words. And sometimes you can sort of uncover really interesting things in the photos that are things that didn't come through in the reviews. I love the photos. We also launched a feature called Q&A, where you can actually ask directly to the whole community who's reviewed the hotel and the hotel a question you have that's only relevant to you. So I recently asked a question about how good is the beach for swimming. I like a really good swimming beach. Sometimes the beach is beautiful, but there's an undertow. I have little kids, so I want to know it's like a nice, gradual Beach, gradual entry. And, I put that out in the community and got lots of responses, both from the hotel and from other people who had stayed there. Because we sent an email out to everyone saying, a TripAdvisor member has a question. Can you help them with this answer? And people love to sort of answer these ad hoc questions that weren't necessarily covered in any of the reviews. So I think that's a really helpful feature because everyone has something specific that's their thing when they're planning a trip, and you can get that answered really easily.
That's wonderful. Well, I thank you so much for being with us today. It was a pleasure to talk with you.
Nice to talk with you.
And thank you guys all for being part of the audience. Thank you.